And we're live. We have 9 people already. And hi, everybody. We're just getting ourselves organized here. Walter's pouring our cocktails. Running a little behind schedule because Walter was doing his homework for his sewing class tomorrow night. Kind of like one of the kids I used to teach. Leave their homework to the last minute.
Well, I remember it.
Oh, you remembered it. Oh, jeez.
No, I mean, I'll remember it better for tomorrow if I do it now.
Yeah. If the dog doesn't eat your homework. Hi, Bonnie. How are you? And whoever else is out there, say hello. We'll get started here in just a couple of seconds. Once I get my cocktail. Ooh.
I have no idea what it tastes like.
But they're pretty.
Different. Well,
Hi, Laura.
Similar but different.
Well, how can it be similar and different because you use the same fruit all the time?
Yeah, no, I added some other stuff. I added sourpuss liqueur this time.
You're having trouble getting on your stool? Can I push in your stool?
Ah.
Hi, Roberta. Bonnie says I'm great, a tad hot through the humidity is making it feel like 40, not complaining though. Yeah, I'm not sure what.
We had a bad rain shower this afternoon.
Yeah, we had didn't last long. I actually haven't been outside.
Which is good. Which is good that
What?
we had that. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been dry, so.
Yeah, we need it.
But I mean, the problem is it's short and it pours down a whole lot of water, but then it doesn't last long.
No, and no, I'm expecting a package from Amazon today.
Oh,
It was supposed to come tomorrow, but they said on the thing it was on its way today.
well, maybe it's there.
Oh, maybe.
No, it wouldn't be there because
Yeah, Alexa's not going off.
Alexa,
do I have any deliveries?
A package for Stephen's order should arrive today, containing sewing clips. A
Yep.
package should arrive Tuesday, July 21st, containing EQA designing quilts and EQA drawing blocks. Another package should arrive Wednesday, August 5th, containing Synthropol detergent. Another package should arrive Tuesday, August 11th, containing Jenkins bubble jet set.
boy,
Well,
we've been ordering a lot.
That's
of
all
stuff.
my orders. So, what's going on here? Teresa's here. Hi, Teresa. Oh, Bonnie says Amazon never delivers on Sunday. There. Well, it does. They do here. It seems. And Laura says had a tornado warning here at 12:30 p.m. and heavy thunderstorm and rain. Power was up for about an hour. Whoa. And Jody's here. Hi, Jody. Yeah, I am a
Laura,
mega shopper.
We had the thunderstorm warning, but I don't think we had the tornado warning. We did have a fairly heavy downpour.
Yeah. But it only lasted, what, about 10 minutes?
No, it lasted 20, 25 minutes.
Oh, was it that long?
Yeah, you were yakking downstairs on your.
Well, I was doing my art journal class. No. I think, Laura, are you not out by the Guelph area?
Yeah, she is. Well,
Yeah. Well, Bonnie's asking. Well, anyways, so we'll get started, I guess, today. So what's been happening? Well, my mother, she's fine. Nothing new there. I've cut down on the number of times I try to get a hold of her because I never get a hold of her, as you know. So I talked to her, I think Thursday. She actually picked up the phone on Thursday after only about 14 rings, so that was pretty good. Yeah, she's fine. Same old, same old. They've changed their regulations now on visitations slightly. Now they were telling us before that if we want to visit them, they would be outdoor visits. You'd have to do the mask thing, the social distancing. You had to make an appointment for a specific time. Visitations wouldn't be any longer than 30 minutes, and you had to prove that you had within the 2 weeks before that date a test for COVID. And it had to be, of course, negative, and you had to prove that to them. Well, now they're saying it's still going to be outdoors. You still have to book a time, masks, social distancing, all that kind of stuff. But you don't need to prove that you've had a test for COVID and it's negative. However, people who they consider essential caregivers, or I guess there's some people go in and help feed some of the residents who have troubles with that kind of thing, and they may be their own family members. They have to prove that they've had the test and it's been negative in the whole bit. So I was talking to my mother about that. I said, "Well, Mom, it's still not just a question of coming over and whenever to visit you and that." But she doesn't seem to care. Doesn't bother her at all. In fact, when I first started to say, "Well, there's some news about when we can visit you again," she says, "Yeah, it's probably not till Christmas." And I said, "Well, no, maybe sooner than that." But anyways, but she doesn't seem to be that concerned that we're not over there. So I guess that's a good thing, because
Well,
we're not going yet. It's still too dangerous. So not going to do that.
well, she's not asking you to visit.
No,
her.
she's not. Oh, Marilyn is here. Or is it Marilyn or Marilyn? Thank you for joining us. You're new. And Janine's here. Hi, Janine. And Janine, you're the only one that ever responded to the idea of having a sew and chat or a coffee sew and chat. So I guess we're not going to be doing a Zoom with that right now. Although I have some other ideas in my head about that too. So, I mean, it's not all over yet, but we'll see. Okay, so that was my mother. So everybody coping okay with the latest on the virus? I know here in Canada things have opened up a little bit in Ontario. We are still in, we're not in stage 3 opening,
We're
are we?
still in stage 2. That's because we live close to Toronto.
Yeah, the GTA area, Greater Toronto Area, which we are part of, we're still in stage 2. Everybody else has been able to go to stage 3. And it looks like a lot of people are taking advantage of stage 3 now. Especially with the weather being warm and it being summer, a lot of people are going up to cottage country. And cottage country is in stage 3. So my sister went up to her in-laws cottage and saw on Facebook that she was enjoying beer on a deck at some little local craft brewery up in a place called Finland Falls.
Bonnie says they're in the last stage. Is that stage 3 or stage 4? I don't know. It depends. Each province has their own.
Different stages, yeah. So Bonnie, what does that mean? Like what can you do, what can't you do in the stage that you're in?
Oh,
Yes, Laura.
yeah, we're pretty much the same way.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that too. Today's topic that's part of it. We have 2 topics today. We'll see how they go, but we'll come to that in a bit. Teresa's a hermit anyway. She's in Missouri. Oh, Teresa, do you live anywhere near Hamilton, Missouri, where the Missouri Star Quilt Company is? That's one of those places I don't know if I'll ever get there. Certainly not going to get there this year. With COVID, but I'd love to go. I hear that the whole town is nothing but just quilt shop after quilt shop, all owned by one family. I watched their
It's
videos.
about 2 hours away.
Have you ever been? Of course, if you're not into quilting and that, why would you go? But I would love to go. I hear it's quite spectacular for that kind of thing. Teresa says it's awesome. Okay, good to know. Well,
Well, you have to take out a small loan to.
oh, probably. I'll save up my money so I can buy them out. Okay, so bought some new toys. Well, we talked last week about Walter's cover stitch machine, but I bought a new computer. It was my birthday present to myself. And I needed a new computer because my old computer, which is my main computer, we have a lot of computers in this house, okay? And I actually have one in my sewing room, 3 in my craft room. Then we have about 3 iPads, 2 iPhones. Walter has a computer. We have no lack of computers, but my main computer, I've had that for about 12 years, maybe a
Sorry,
little,
keep going, Mike.
maybe a little longer, I'm not sure. And it's just to the point now where, you know, it will run stuff, and it still actually runs fairly decently. But one of the reasons I bought a new one was because in the middle of my guild's virtual meeting last month, and I'm secretary of the guild, it died on me. It shut itself down. Now, I was in a panic because I'm in the middle of the executive meeting and I've got to take the notes and everything. And so I immediately went over to one of my other computers and I got myself hooked up on it back into our virtual meeting. But I thought, well, why is it doing this? And then it's been shutting itself right off just for no apparent reason. One of the things we think it might be doing may not have anything to do with the computer so much as it has to do with Windows updates. Although I have it set so that Windows won't shut down my computer and restart unless I tell it to, it doesn't seem to listen to me. If that was the problem. Walter's had the same problem with his computer, and his is much newer than the one I was using. So we don't know, but anyways, it's a slower computer. You know, the technology's changed a lot in 10 years. So I went out and I bought a brand new one and hooked it up. And I quite like it right now. And it's fast and shouldn't be any problems when I do. Well, I had a Zoom meeting this afternoon and didn't have any problems with that. So that's okay. What are people saying here? Body says we can do most everything with a mask and safe distance. Have been in this stage for a few weeks now, and it's going to, well, one new case in New Brunswick today. That's good.
Well, in Ontario, we had 164 new cases today.
And that's slightly up.
Yeah, well, yesterday they had, I don't know, about 140 or something, but a lot of them were like farm workers and
The migrant
Windsor
workers.
area or something like that.
The migrant workers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the problem with the migrant workers is that I guess the people who hire them, they haven't been doing much to really protect them. Like they were supposed to be quarantined, and I don't think they really were. And their living accommodations are like crowded, not really following the guidelines that they're supposed to be doing. And I mean, those farmers are kind of in a bad spot, you know, between a rock and a hard place, because they have the migrant workers come up because they need them to do what they need to do to, you know, for the planting and everything else that they put in and looking after the crops. And sadly, there's an awful lot of Canadians that won't do that kind of work. And because it is hard work. And on top of it all, they're on a time scale because it means the seasons, you know, everything that has to be done. So I guess they've cut a few corners on all of this, and they had a lot of cases about all that.
Yeah, it says here there was 34, let me see, hang on. 37 of today's cases was Windsor, Essex, where the migrant workers are. 48 was from Peel. 25 cases from Toronto and 16 from Ottawa. And the rest were, I guess, distributed throughout Ontario.
And I see here that Debbie says we had 2,235 new cases today, and that's Columbia, South Carolina. Yes, Marilyn, I am a PC instead of a Mac fan. I've never owned a Mac. I've kind of thought about getting a Mac, but several things hold me back. One, for the kind of Mac I would want, it would be probably a minimum of $4,000 to $5,000, as compared to what I just spent, which was about $1,000 on a really good PC. Second of all, I'm used to PCs. That's what I've used all the time. And everything that I work with is PC. Macs, I know, do certain things that are better than a PC. Like, everybody who has YouTube channels, I swear, except for me, have Macs because they're great for editing video and all that kind of stuff, and music and everything. And I know from my experience with just using my iPhone and my iPad, as far as making my videos are concerned, it is so much easier than anything that I've used on a PC. However, the other problem with Macs are that Macs assume that everybody who uses a computer is an idiot. and they supposedly make things just so user friendly that they're frustrating for people who do know PCs and how to use directory structures and things like that. I mean, I have had my hands on a Mac before, and the Mac wants to do what it wants to do, and it doesn't like to negotiate with you about what you want to do. Now, I'm sure if you're a seasoned Mac user, you probably know how to get around all of that. But that's not what they're geared for.
Same with me, as I've always had PCs, and but see, I worked in an industry where we programmed PCs, so I was programmed applications for PCs, so I was always in tune with PCs, and I know all my way around PCs. So, and I have heard some people that I worked with that had Macs, and they said they got frustrated with the way some of the Macs work on especially if you know your way around and the insides of a computer. And I have a laptop from work that I still have that I bought from work that is actually a Linux one, which is Linux. It's a Linux operating system. I haven't used it much, but it's more in tune with what I like as well. So.
Well, no, hi Janet, and hi Aunt B. I'm just looking here, anybody else that I've missed. Bonnie says it's 3rd level they're in. When there is a vaccine, we go to the 4th level. Okay. And Aunt B says...
So Bonnie, does that mean you can eat indoors at a restaurant?
Yeah, that's a good question. Aunt B says we own a house and our son is staying there and I worry about him. Yeah. Marilyn says Chicago area is going to end up going back to stage 2 if this continues, with Florida going willy-nilly. And Bonnie loves my Macs. And PCs are needed for embroidery too. I have a Mac and you are correct, they are pricey. Yeah, we were just watching something on YouTube about Janome machines and that and their software. And with the exception of Artistic Designer, which is the big one that I just bought that we use to design embroidery, everything else only runs on PC. Artistic Designer runs on Macs as well, but that's because they're done by a third-party company, not by Janome. But Janome's software...
I think the company is called Drawstitch.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Janome, though, their software that they have, with the exception of that they develop, all run off a PC. And I think you can get programs for your Mac that are supposed. There was one years and years ago called Parallel.
Actually, you can simulate PC.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
On Mac, because they were doing that experiment at work before I retired.
Yeah.
That they were running all the stuff on the simulator. And it apparently does it pretty well, but there are some differences because there were a couple of guys that were using it and they were getting kind of frustrated with it.
Bonnie says she uses her Macs for embroidery. What program are you using for embroidery, Bonnie? Are you using Artistic Digitizer or using one of those other ones?
I doubt it because she doesn't have a Janome machine.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, so she wouldn't be using that, so. Marilyn says she had a Berdina and had to buy a PC for the software for embroidery. Bonnie says her software works with both PC and Mac. Oh, okay. Now, Aunt B, she runs Linux. And Teresa says, at my age, I don't need frustration from a Mac. And Bonnie says, now returning to about the levels here. Restaurants have to do safe distancing with tables, etc. And Bonnie says Premiere software works with both. Okay. Yeah, so Bonnie, have you been out to a restaurant then since you're in that stage? And if so, what's that kind of like? I think I would be very apprehensive, even though they say you can, and they do the distancing stuff, but I don't know.
I guess there's been problems in Toronto. I was reading today that they don't have indoor dining in Toronto. they have patio dining, and I guess the waitresses are upset because people can't keep their hands to themselves, like grab them as they're going by type of thing. They're not allowed to touch, right? And so they're uptight with that, and they're ticked off with people that come in and get seated at one table and then they decide to move to a different table because of
because they have to disinfect it.
And then they've also got it where people are coming in and then they want to group tables together. You know what I mean?
See, this is the problem with Toronto right now. They are the Americans of Ontario, I'm sorry to say, because they don't take this stuff seriously. And that is why we have most of our cases in the province of Ontario come from the city of Toronto, because those people in Toronto are just plain stupid and ignorant. Now, you go back to what you were saying about them reaching out and touching the help. Even if it wasn't a COVID thing right now, I think that that's rude. I don't think I would, if I was a server, I wouldn't want somebody touching me either. What's wrong with them just sort of signaling them and saying, excuse me, you know, could I speak to you for a minute or something like that? Why do they have to reach out and grab? And why do people have to, when they walk into these situations, decide that they can break the rules and make them up? And I think it's also unfair for the people that are doing the serving in that having to play police, basically. I mean, I don't know how you get around that, but they're in a very uncomfortable position.
Well, I guess there's been a couple of places in Montreal that have been blatantly breaking the rules type of thing. And there's, I guess, John Tory, the mayor of Toronto, has requested, sent a mail to Premier and have requested 7 more things he wants to see done before restaurants open with indoor dining.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, which is like you're only allowed to sit at the table that you're put in, and you can't stand up or move around or talk to other people at other tables. That's the other thing that's a problem. And stuff like that.
See, but the whole problem here is you can put all those things into place, but if people are refusing to do it, then as soon as the help have their back turned, because they're busy trying to serve and do everything like that. This is what I mean. It puts unfair pressure on those people to have to police all of this on top of it. But why do people have to be so stupid and ignorant? Because that's what it is. It's stupid and ignorant. And people in Toronto are stupid and ignorant. You know, like they haven't got a clue. They don't care. But then that's Toronto. You ask anybody in Canada about Toronto and they'll tell you, Toronto thinks there's nothing outside of it. They think they are Canada.
Maryland was going. I went to an outdoor dining place and a person at the table next door was observed blowing his nose into a cloth napkin.
Oh God, that would just be gross on any level at any time, let alone even at this time. That's disgusting. People are pigs. Really? Where are the manners? Where were they brought up? In an outhouse? Why? Like, geez, oh God, that makes me sick. Just even thinking about that. Yeah, Bonnie, exactly. Oh, yuck. Teresa says, time to get robot waitresses. Well, you know, there's things to be said for that kind of thing. Bonnie says, as I mentioned before, I'm helping my 96-year-old mom's some am extra cautious. So I am extra cautious. Okay, our anniversary's coming up though, so we'll probably go out at the end of the month. Yeah, we just had an anniversary too, but we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Yeah, I know. Like there are days I sit in here and go, oh, I wish we could just even go to a patio and go out and have a beer, kind of a thing. But no, like we can, but I don't think I'd be comfortable.
Well, you'll be uncomfortable the first time, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm still uncomfortable when we go to the grocery store a little bit. It just, we went to Costco yesterday, and we had to line up, of course, but it moved quite quickly. And, you know, everybody's got their mask, and they weren't letting anybody in without their mask. And
they were providing a mask if you didn't have it, but they definitely said, next time you come, you have to have your own mask.
And that's good that they're doing it, and they're very efficient at the checkout. I mean, I've never been in a Costco that I went through so fast as we did yesterday. I mean, we were only picking up a couple of things, but and so we went and got those and got out, but it was fairly efficient. But even then, it's just it all feels very weird, and it makes me anyways feel a little paranoid about it. Oh, hi Dana. Yes, many people, including one of my relatives, thinks he is the center of Canada and he lives near Toronto. I'm not of that opinion, so I moved. Yeah. And Aunt B says, I wish they were like that here. I wear my mask. Yeah. The pub up
Well, here it's in our community, it's mandatory for you to wear a mask in anywhere indoors. So
yeah. Across Ontario.
Ontario.
Yeah.
No,
No.
it's for each municipality.
Oh. Well, I thought most of them had that in
No.
place. I don't know. I still think they should make that province-wide and it should be done by the provincial government, not left up to the municipalities. And I don't care if a municipality has absolutely no cases. I don't care if they're in Timbuktu or wherever out there. Everybody wear a mask when you're out in public. Simple as that. None of these exceptions going on. Bonnie, the pub up the street has a nice patio, but haven't ventured there either. I'm enjoying my own deck with a rye and ginger. Yeah, you look like you got a nice deck too, according to the Zoom. So yeah, don't blame me on that one. We have a deck too, but it
gets hot.
In fact, okay, a little off topic here, but as an aside, our deck has a western exposure, and right now, this time of the day, from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon until about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the evening, you can fry an egg on our deck. And yeah, we could get a canopy, do that kind of stuff, but we never have because we've got this part underneath our deck, which we've talked about before, and that's where we sit usually, and it's much cooler under there. But this is where it comes in. Here's a little sewing tip. Okay, cutting mats. Self-healing cutting mats. So any of you that do any kind of crafts probably have one of these. Well, one thing you don't do on a self-healing cutting mat is iron on it, okay? And yes, I made that mistake. Now I had a pad on it and everything, but I had a wool pad and I didn't really think about it, but the heat in the wool pad goes right through from the iron. And of course, it warped my cutting mat. I tried putting weights on it to get it back in shape and couldn't do anything. So I was going to buy a new one the other day, but when we were out, but I have to go to Curry's and well, just didn't feel I should do that. Then I was looking online and someone said they stuck it out in the sun on their driveway and it went back into shape. They put some weights on it. So I thought, well, what the heck? What have I got to lose? So I took my cutting mat, I put it out on my deck where I said you can fry an egg, and I put some heavy weights on it, put it all down, left it there for about an hour. Guess what? Nice and flat. It worked. In fact, when I brought it in, just to doubly make sure, I put all the weights on top of it again overnight. But yeah, it's perfectly flat now. Saves me buying a new one. So there's a little tip for you. Use the sun. Bonnie says, I can sit here and watch the boats and everything else going on the lake. Yeah, Marilyn says, I did the same thing, warped my mat. And Dana says, cutting mats and western exposure, ripple time. Yeah, yeah. But it worked. And Dana, thank you for the tip about my iron. I tried it and that worked. I didn't even think about doing that. You know, I said I had kink in the cord of my thing. And Dana wrote to me and said, just pick your iron up and just spin it around.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't tell me that. Oh yeah. This is another thing Walter's famous for. Yeah, well, I knew that all the time. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, when I went out and filled your tire, my cord was crooked for the compressor.
Your cord's been crooked all your life.
And I had to spin it around to. What do? You don't use the hose outside. You have to do that with hose all the time.
No, that's not mine. I don't do yard work. Yuck. Ick. That's what you're for. Like, no. Service. Well, it worked, Dana. Thank you for suggesting it. It wouldn't matter what I would say. He already would have known, but he keeps it as a secret,
yeah,
you know.
I know.
Because he's just like that. He's a mean Dutch guy.
Yeah, well.
The Dutch, if they're Dutch, they're not much. Yeah, really.
If they Dutch, it's not much.
Yeah, Debbie, try that with your mat. It worked with mine. Put some heavy weights down on it, evenly distributed, and it worked. So, yeah. And Teresa says that's because of your monster new iron. No, actually, I did it way before I had that iron.
Yeah.
Actually, if the truth be told, I did one little spot, but then one morning I was looking at my mat and going, well, there's a new bump. Where'd that come from? Oh, but he knew all about that, didn't he? Yeah.
Well, I didn't think about the mat I've got. I iron on it all the time, and I don't have a problem.
You don't have. You're not ironing on a cutting mat.
Yes, I am. I iron with my wool mat on the cutting mat.
That's what I do.
Yeah, well, that's what I did.
Well, obviously your iron doesn't have much heat.
It fuses okay.
Whatever. See, I can't win.
No,
It wouldn't
it's not my
matter.
fault. It's your crappy cutting mat.
Yeah, right. Bite my ass. Okay. Anyways, how did we get on all that? Oh yeah, went off. So, since you have much to be said, how are your shorts coming along?
Well, no, we were working on the cargo pockets last week.
You and
Well, I got both pockets done. I have to be sewn on the short material yet.
oh,
Well, not done. They're the outsides are done.
oh, that's working out okay for you, is it?
Yeah, so far.
Oh, damn. And he redesigned his sewing room too. We went to IKEA last Monday, and this past Monday, and like did curbside pickup and the whole bit. And he,
Yeah, actually, I'm glad we did that because there was a huge lineup to get into IKEA. And I did curbside pickup, and you just go there and you dial, you give them, send them a message on your phone, and they come out, bring all the stuff to your car, and you just dump it in your car.
you know, Bonnie says, "Do you two not do your sewing in the same room?" God,
Definitely
no!
not.
We'd kill each other. You know, I'd be saying to him, "Hello, there's a telephone call for you. Answer the iron." Whatever.
No, we have to keep apart. He's downstairs, I'm upstairs.
Of course, that might change if I ever redo the craft room.
No, it won't.
Oh, fine. Well, there you go. That's why we don't take
I
classes
don't want to
together.
be in the same room as him when he's doing stuff.
Can you say shithead? I know how to spell it. Walter. Jeez. He's like that. Bonnie says, I'd be so happy to have my partner sew or work along with me. Yeah. Why don't we do art attacks that often? Yeah, I can tell you. Walter's very competitive. That's the main problem. He's very competitive. And he's also very particular about how things should be done. Now, not necessarily that they should be done in those ways. They should be done according to Walter's rules.
Has to be done my way.
Has to be done his way. Everything has to be done his way. Thus, you might think I'm a lazy son of a bitch because I don't do yard work. There's another reason for that. That could be part of it. But the other reason
Well, that was
is
mostly
I
it.
would not be able to do
Oh,
it
give me
properly at all. I can't even cook in this house without him hanging over my shoulder. What are you doing now? Oh, I wouldn't have done it that way. Although last night I cooked dinner and I did something that I haven't done in a while. I made chicken picado, which is usually done with veal. But have you tried to find veal these days? Not easy. But anyways,
Have you looked?
well, you don't let me look because you go, and then you'd be picky about what kind of veal it would be. So it doesn't matter. And it turned out delicious. But he wanted to. He knew he'd get hit with a frying pan, but because he did come in to see what was going on. Just go sit down. Shut up. So anyways, yeah, be nice, Debbie says. I never signed a contract that said I had to be nice to anybody. No, never happened. And Bonnie says, oh, but maybe she would be happy to sew with her partner, but maybe because I know it will never happen. And he says, Bonnie says, the way Walter's laughing, I think Stephen might be telling me the truth. I do not lie. I do not lie. He has the world completely bamboozled. Everybody thinks Walter is just a sweetheart and he's such a nice guy. And how does he ever, someone will say, how do you ever put up with him? Meaning me, and all this kind of stuff. And he just sits there and he smiles at them. Little girl, tee-hee, tee-hee, tee-hee. And I go, you live with them. Uh-huh. I'll say no more about that. So anyways, yeah, he redesigned his sewing room a little bit. Had to get rid of a few things.
Yeah.
Still have to get rid of a few more, but it looks, well, he needed room for his serger and his cover.
Well, before I had the serger sitting on top of a cabinet, I'd only pull it down when I needed to, and still then I would have to find a spot to put it. And so I got a desk now that where the serger and the cover stitch machine both can sit. So now I don't have to. Now I have them in a permanent spot that if I need to use them at a moment's notice, I can use them. So.
It looks very neat for the moment. It won't look like that much longer because he loves to make mountains out of everything. And then he goes, I can't find this. And I go, that's because you never put it in the same place twice. Usually I find it for him. Usually it's right under his nose. I go, is this what you're looking for? Well, that's not where I put it. Well, how did it get there? The gnomes came in the night, the little elves, and moved it and went tee. And if they did, they're probably Dutch as well. So, hi Anita. Bonnie says, Anita says, he looks very nice. Oh, you don't make me laugh. Yeah, okay. Janine says, will you show us the redesigned room soon?
It's not really redesigned.
It's really not really designed. He just has a new thing. Yeah.
Desk. It's an Alex desk from IKEA.
Maybe I'll make a little video of it and put it on my vlog.
Yeah.
That way, because right now I can't really move what we're doing around. We're not that portable for it. Yeah, Marilyn says, yeah, love to see the IKEA setup. Well, basically it's a slab of wood on some drawers.
Yeah.
And did you know those tabletops that they make that you can buy separate? I didn't know this.
Yeah, if it's what it's called, lumen or lumen or.
It wouldn't be something you could easily pronounce. It's like probably like a lumen fruit board.
Linmon, I think.
Linmon. But they're made out of cardboard.
Yeah.
They're honeycombed cardboard, and it with a.
They're really lightweight,
but
actually they're really strong.
With a thin layer of veneer or something across them. But I didn't know that. I just figured they were like wood.
No, they're cardboard.
So, but they're actual cardboard. Yeah, sort of thing. Oh well. Yeah, IKEA's good for all kinds of things, but we did not go in. We did to curbside. So, anyways, so what else went on this past week? Well, it was my birthday, as you know, on Tuesday. Did you know it was my birthday? Oh, did I tell you before? Did I mention it was my birthday? Yes. Well, okay, maybe many times over. I'm 29 and holding forever. So Walter cooked dinner. It was sort of faux Chateaubriand, which meant we didn't have filet mignon. We had strip steak, but strip loin. But he did it in the sous vide, so it always comes out good. And fancy vegetables. And we had a fancy dessert. What did we have?
Ice cream with strawberries.
Oh, that's right. Well, I like ice cream, so it's good. Oh, he did get me a card, though. He made it. I gotta show it to you. Because I think it's really hilarious. Well, when I say made it, he printed it off the computer. But so there's these two cats sitting in front of a mouse hole. And over the mouse hole it says Whole Foods. Hole like in hole in the wall. And one cat,
HOLE.
Yeah, foods. And one cat says to the other cat, I hear all the mice are organic. And inside, oh, never mind. Hope you enjoy your whole day. He was being very funny in there. But also, the whole thing with organic, I have a pet peeve about that word on many levels. that word, first of all, I don't believe any food is really organic because there are no standards, at least in our country, for what makes something organic. And second of all, which pisses me off even more, is people use that word for everything anymore. Oh, I just did this art journal piece. It's very organic. Oh, the whole process of designing a quilt, it was so organic. What's that supposed to mean? To me, organic means of nature. But I know it's got an extended meaning now, and it's one of those words in our vocabulary that, whatever. Bonnie says she loves the card. Anita says that's cute. Thanks, Janine. How about organic fabric? I can't figure that out. Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. It's one of those words that is caught on and it's overused, and I don't think it's being used correctly. But then that's the nature of English language anyways. It's a living language. It keeps evolving. In some cases devolving, I think. Or how about the word authentic? Yeah, I know. There's so many of them out there right now. Bonnie says, maybe an upper Canadian word. I think it's a kind of a yuppie word, if yuppies still exist. Well, they do, in one form or the other. I think that's where you get a lot of this kind of, it's kind of a snotty word. Oh yes, we went off to that restaurant and enjoyed dinner so much, and the whole atmosphere and the mood was very organic. Right. So, anyways, and it was our anniversary the next day, on Wednesday. Now, that's our wedding anniversary. So technically it's the anniversary of the day we actually got legally married. We don't consider that really our main anniversary. We don't really celebrate it. Our main anniversary is when we met, and that's December 21st is our real anniversary. That's what we consider. But as of this past Wednesday, we have been legally married to each other for 15 years, 2005. Together for almost 37, can you tell? So we thought we'd go down memory lane. Here's our wedding album. Not professionally done. I did it when I was scrapbooking, so I made a scrapbook album. So you won't be able to see too much, but there in the cover is our wedding picture, or wedding pictures. Now our wedding was, you can't see any of this, but so I'm not going to hold it all up. But everything is in here. So when we got married, we decided it was going to be a big party, and a lot of our friends at the time, as wedding gifts to us, gave us certain things, like certain services. So all the pictures that were taken that I have in this album were taken by a good friend of ours who had just got herself a brand new digital camera, DS, what do they call them, DLS?
SLR.
No, but they're digital, so they
Digital SLR. DSLR.
I just thought they were DLR, but whatever.
AS.
Okay, a digital 35 millimeter camera. And she was just dying to use it, so she was doing all of our wedding photography. Well, sometime later, they were here for dinner, and I had the album done. And
Yeah, we got married in 2005.
yeah, and I was showing her the wedding album, and she said, "Wow, I take really good pictures. That's a great camera." What she doesn't know is the pictures did not turn out well, not just because of the subject matter. They did not turn out well, and I put them all into Photoshop and redid them all as best I could. But I wouldn't want her to know that because, you know, her heart was definitely in the right place in the whole bit, and she was so excited about doing this for us and the whole bit, and we really appreciated it.
Yes, yes, who's that?
Yes, Virginia, what?
Uh,
What?
yes, Jody, it's Jody, right? Mr.
Yeah.
Polo. Yes, I'm taller.
Yeah, but he's sitting taller. Well, no, I'm taller now in the chair, but he's taller than me.
Stand up.
We represent the Lollipop League. What?
Yes, I'm taller.
Not that much. When he used to have hair, it made him look even taller. But He's about 2 inches taller. I don't know if you're that. You're shrinking.
No,
But then someone-
my doctor measured me. I always thought I was 5'8". My doctor measured me, and I was 5'9".
Oh, you're wearing heels.
No,
5'9".
she had me take off with my shoes. I said, geez, for years I've told everybody I'm 5'8".
She didn't measure me, but I was always about 5'6", and I think I'm shrinking. So, oh well. You do, you know. As you get older, you shrink. Your backbone or something compresses. I don't know. Yeah, well, Walter's taller than me, but I'm smarter and better looking. So, 2 out of 3, not bad. So anyways, she did our photography. We had 2 gay guys that were really good disc jockeys in their day. They got married after us, and they're no longer together. But they did all our music and everything, and they always had the best music, and they were also sort of did the emceeing part of our wedding, like to keep things moving, because we had games. We had contests and games, and people won prizes at our wedding.
Yeah, gift cards.
Yeah, gift cards for things. And all of our tables were labeled with things, instead of numbers on the table for where people were going to sit, we put names of things that came from our past that were significant, like the name of the street Walter lived on when I first met him, different things like that. And people had to guess the significance at various times during the night and go up and give the answer to the disc jockeys. And if they got it right, they got a gift card. We got, what, gift cards for movies and for
Yeah.
Tim Hortons and stuff. I don't know, a whole bunch of them. So yeah, there was that kind of thing. It was all meant to be just fun party. One of the women that I had taught with for many years, who worked in the baking department of our school, she was a, and you have to be careful when you say this, she was a master baker. She designed and made our wedding cake, and we let her, actually I have a good picture, I should show you the cake, because the cake was beautiful, and it was very unusual too. And she asked us what we wanted, and we said, we trust your intuition and your ability.
She made 3 different cakes, 3 different flavors, all checkerboard.
All checkerboard inside. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, down. Shit. Shoot.
No, that doesn't.
Have I got the right?
No.
Oh, there it is.
No, you've got people. If there, you're showing it there.
Yeah, there. There it is. That was our wedding cake. And all layers are real that were on it. So that was really nice. Who else did? Oh, the people that were, the couple that, they were a straight couple, and I had worked for years with the lady, and she and her husband were our sort of our attendants to it. They weren't really our best men or maid of honor or things like that. They were just our attendants. They were our witnesses. They signed our paperwork and all that kind of stuff and walked us in, because we got married in a golf course, in a banquet hall in a golf course, and that's where we had the reception and where we got married too. We didn't go into a church or anything like that. We were married by a Unitarian minister, because Unitarians will marry anybody. So, and that was fine, and she did a really great job. Plus, she interviewed us before she agreed to marry us, weeks before the wedding when we contacted her, and she asked us some really difficult questions too at the time. So just wasn't like basically hire somebody off the internet kind of a deal. I don't know how we found her. Someone recommended her or something, or
She was the pastor at a Unitarian church.
yeah.
No, I looked them up because at the time there was only certain people that would marry.
Hi, Jules.
So, because it was still a new thing in Canada. So,
Well, bye, Deb.
So certain churches wouldn't marry you. I think United was the only one that would marry
Yeah.
somebody, and Unitarian would. Unitarian always would marry people,
Yeah.
and because they used to do commitment ceremonies as well. So we asked the Unitarian minister to marry us.
Yeah. It was 2004 when it became
legal in Ontario.
Legal in Ontario, yeah,
So we got married a year later.
yeah. But yeah, it was a big party, and that's what we wanted, and it was lots of fun, and
And then I think shortly after that, after we got married, about half a year or so later, it became legal across the country.
yeah, it did. One of the questions the Unitarian minister asked us was like, well, why do you want to get married? Because her point of view then was, or what she was trying to get out of us is, are you doing this because this is just the thing right now? Because when it became legal in Ontario, everybody was going nuts. There was a whole bunch of people going to City Hall and other ones doing weddings and the whole bit. And then when it went legal right across the country, we had Americans coming up and getting married.
Even though it wasn't really
recognized
recognized
in
in
the
the area
States.
that they were from. So
But they're all doing that. And that was a legitimate question. And we basically said, well, you know, we don't have to get married because in this country we have, you know, common law. And after 2-3 years of being with somebody, basically you have almost all the same rights as a married person. But that's the kicker. Almost. There are certain legalities that, you know,
like technically if you separate and stuff like that, even if you're a common law, it's a little bit harder to prove in court and stuff like that. And there's also other things like you have to, it's a little bit more difficult to prove if you want benefits and things like that to companies. I mean, it's fairly well known now that but at the time it was still a little bit iffy whether you would get something. Like when I
and I wanted all.
when actually even when I retired, I had to prove. What happened was in 1998, the Ontario government severed me from the Ontario government that I was working for, and I had to go to a corporation. Well, part of my pension, I have what is that? Him as a beneficiary, right?
Oh.
But I still had to prove to them that I was in a relationship with him in 1998 when they severed me, so that he benefits. He can be my beneficiary after if something happens to me.
It's all
So
about the
actually,
money.
I had to. I mean, not only did I send them a marriage certificate, but I also the marriage certificate was only good since 2005. I dug up some old mortgage papers that we had in 1987 to prove that I'd been with him for that long. So that I could claim, so he could be my legal beneficiary.
So just being married makes things, you know, just neatens up the package
Yeah.
a little bit out of it all. But I wonder how things are. I wonder if it has slowed down any since then. There was a big rash for a couple of years when it all became legal in across Canada and whatnot. Everybody getting married and whatnot. And then there was a whole new avenue of revenue opened up for wedding planners because these gay guys want the fancy wedding. And just recently, a couple of people we know, they got married, and we saw pictures of their wedding, and they were more traditional than we had been in ours, but at the same time, it was definitely very gay. Like their color scheme was rainbow, like ours was not. Ours was not. Our color scheme was burgundy, black, and gray. I think that's what, yeah, that's what we had. Also, we did not try to imitate a straight wedding. I mean, yeah, we had some traditional things, like we had a wedding cake and that kind of stuff, but we didn't do the a ton of speeches and all that. In fact,
It was short and sweet.
It was short and sweet. There was one speech, very short speech. It took like 2 minutes. I delivered it. And it was just, you know, thanking everybody for coming and blah, 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 and have a good time. It's a party. We didn't have a traditional plated dinner. We had a cocktail reception, but it was a little bit more buffet style kind of thing. And it had, like, we had, as much as I didn't want this, but he thought we should get it because people in my family and other people thought it would be nice. We had
a smoked salmon.
a smoked salmon. I hear it was lovely. I didn't have any of it because I
I
do
tried
not
a
like
little bit of
fish.
it. It was pretty good.
The food was good though that we had in the whole bed, and the hall looked nice. I mean, we did the decorating of the hall, and we didn't go overboard with it. In fact, at the last minute, the place we were having it at wanted to know if we wanted chair covers. My first reaction to chair covers was, I don't need that. We don't need the added expense. You know, the furniture you got there looks fine, kind of a thing. But then I guess they'd had another thing there before our wedding, and they wanted to know if they could leave them on the chairs. And it wasn't that much more money at the time, and I said, well, shoot, why not? They did look kind of nice on it, so we did that. We had centerpieces on all the tables, and those we gave away. We had to draw for the centerpieces and the whole bit. Well, I guess they probably do that a lot at weddings, because who's going home with, you know, we had, what, 10 centerpieces? We had 10 tables or something?
And they were fresh flowers.
And they were fresh flowers, yeah. And yeah, we had a little problem with that day. What happened? Remember, we got to the hall in the afternoon. It was an evening wedding. It was on a Friday night, and got a call from the florist.
I don't recall.
Yeah, there was something, and they had to rush out and grab. They forgot something, I think, or something. And we were about an hour.
Wasn't it one of the toppers for the cake?
It might have been. Yeah, I don't know, something like that. But anyways, so yeah, it was a big party. It was a lot of fun. Now I wonder if there's gay divorce, how that works. Just asking for a friend. No. Because, like I said, the two guys that were our disc jockeys,
I don't know if they ever got divorced.
I don't know if they got
think
divorced.
They just,
now they had a fairly big wedding, but they had it in a barn. They had theirs about a year after ours, I think it was. And they had friends that owned a daylily farm. And so they had this big barn kind of a thing that was actually kind of set up to have receptions and things in it. It was kind of neat. They got married in a field. And if you knew these two guys, it wasn't like they were a couple of, like, we're really into country and for this, but this is what they did. But they are now separated, and I don't think they're divorced. I don't know how that works. Anyways, I guess it was a mutual kind of thing. But they've been together for quite a few years too before they got married, and then it was like got married, got divorced. Okay, whatever.
that happens to a lot.
Okay, Marilyn, we'll see you again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Anita says, looks like we're having a thunderstorm in her area. And, yeah. So anyways, gay weddings, I don't think they're quite as anybody cares anymore. Like in terms of, they were quite a sensation. And
Well, actually, there was quite a lot of controversy at the time and all this other stuff, and people that were against it were going on about that.
it was going to wreck families.
It would ruin everybody else's marriage because of that and all this other stuff.
How's that going to happen? I'm not marrying your husband.
That was the big deal in 2005, but marriage is still marriage. Nobody
Yeah.
cares. Like, you know.
So I don't know. You don't hear so much, at least in our area, you don't hear too much now, like, so someone's getting married, yay, good for you. Like, it's not a biggie with the whole bit. We actually got rejected by the first florist we went to. But that was because the florist was run by people who were part of the Pentecostal church, and apparently we were abominations. But that's okay, they're not in business anymore. And actually the only reason we went to this particular florist was because a friend of ours, who was actually one of our attendants at the wedding, she recommended this place. She said because they were sort of a teaching school for people who wanted to be florists, and her daughter had gotten married recently, and she went there for the flowers, and she said it cost her half the price of flowers, and they were beautiful. So we went by her recommendation because we respected her opinion. And I'm sure they would have been beautiful. It's just that when we walked in, we got told we were an abomination. And so long story short is, I took them to human rights. Because we have that in this country, and they can't do that. And then they sort of backed down and said, oh, well, yeah, they do our flowers for nothing. So a little too late. And I
We
got
decided we didn't want them doing them anymore.
no. And anyways, we went to a florist that I had dealt with for years and things, and they were the exact opposite. Couldn't do too little or too much for you, and even down to the books that show you different like arrangements and things like that, they actually showed same-sex couples in the pictures for it. So to them, if there's money involved, it doesn't matter whose money it is not an abomination.
All they're doing is providing a service anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, what's the matter to them? Yeah, kind of a thing. But anyways, our flowers were beautiful. They did a very nice job. So that worked out okay. Okay, so this afternoon, before we went on air here, we had, I had an art journal Zoom session. We have them every other week now, well, twice a month. And yeah, it's kind of nice with them all. I always learn something from those, and they seem to be happy about that. So that's in place of me teaching actual classes in that, like I was doing. Well, I wasn't really teaching them much anymore. They were just all getting together to do their thing. So there's kind of a social group. Yeah, so what's newsworthy? Well, we know, unfortunately, the numbers are going up in the States. What's really bothering me about that is that apparently there are Americans who don't get the whole concept of a border being closed and are trying to get into Canada to vacation. I have a problem with that, and I'm really glad our government has extended the border closure into about the tail end of August, which is great. But I guess there's been these Americans coming through and they're getting really pissed off and upset and think it's their right to enter our country. No, it's not. We are a different country. We have a border. There's legal ways to get in. And then I guess I heard, I don't know how true it is, but somebody wrote on Facebook that apparently the Mexicans have closed their border to Americans now too. Now there's irony, isn't there? So maybe the Mexicans are paying for the wall. I don't know now. But really, why? What's the mentality here? First of all, if you're American and when our borders were open, the only reason to come to our country, really, is because you get more bang for your buck. A lot more out of it all. But I can think of more exotic places to go than Canada. Of course, I live here, so that's probably why I think that. But, I mean, yeah, we're beautiful. We're big. We are civilized, so you're not going to find an igloo on every corner. You'll find a Tim Hortons. But I don't get why right now they decided that they should come here. I mean, I haven't heard that there's been a lot of Canadians dying to go down to the States. Emphasis on the word dying. I don't understand that mentality whatsoever. Bonnie says the campaign person from Trump can't figure out why anyone would want to go to Canada as the USA is the greatest country in the world. Saw the interview. And that's wonderful. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, if that's the way Americans want to feel, great. Keep the pressure off our border. Stay there. Stay there. Not a problem. Not at all. It's annoying. It's annoying because I think it is a reflection upon the mentality that a lot of Americans
Well, they probably don't, a lot of Americans probably don't even know that the border's closed.
Well, that's the other thing, which is sad. Because, oh, come on. But you know something? I can see how that could be. Because anytime we've been in the States and you watch the news or the weather and they show a map of North America, well, there's only one country, according to that map, that exists in North America. It's the United States. Canada is a blob of color. Mexico's even worse. Less than that color on that. So it's like, the world doesn't end at the 49th parallel.
Like, I mean, we still get reports of what temperature it is in Florida.
Yeah. In fact, what really annoyed me last week was we've been having a bit of a heat wave over the last couple of weeks. The Canadian news reporter, weatherman, for the Toronto News, was comparing our temperatures to Florida. Why do we care what the temperature is in Florida in July? We're Canadians. They're 1,500 miles away from us, thank God. Why should I care if it's sunny and warm in Florida or if it's 40 degrees C in Florida? No. Wouldn't it be better? I would be more interested in knowing what the temperature was in Calgary, Regina, Montreal, Halifax, Fredericton. I don't care what the temperature is in Florida. And does Florida care what the temperature is in Toronto? I doubt it. It's just, I have a problem with that CTV anyways, with the way they've been handling the whole COVID thing too as well. I'm sick of hearing biases about the USA News than our own country's news. I've tweeted this. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the weaknesses we have in our country, is that for some reason we seem to compare ourselves to Americans. And as you've heard me say on here before, we are not Americans. We are not even like Americans, regardless of what Americans might think. Even the Europeans get the idea that we are not like the Americans. So why is our news system always talking about them? I mean, right now the news about the States isn't good anyways, but really. I agree with you, Bonnie. I'm sick of it too. So anyways, people trying to get in this country. Okay, so today I was on the topic is, and I put a pun in here, are you dying to get out? Okay, and when I mean out, are you dying to go cross the border? I'm not. I know Americans are. I mean, they've turned away over 10,000 Americans trying to get across the border. And then there's the ones that are crossing over in BC who are saying they're going to Alaska, because we sort of have a deal, I think, at the border about that.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we did. But they're not going. They're staying in Banff. And they're now the BC government is complaining that they're finding American license plates all over their damn province. And
Actually, the last thing I read, that there's now boats ending up in Vancouver Harbor that are American boats that are trying to land into the harbor.
I trust they're turning them away. Of course, what if they need fueling or something? Like, that's, you can't just send them out in the ocean, I guess. Anita says, nope, I'm not leaving my own backyard. Good for you, Anita. Bonnie says, no, 70,000 people per day with COVID. No, thank you. Okay, bye, Teresa. Yeah, I'm sorry to the Americans who have some common sense, but the more and more that we do hear about them, the more than I'm thinking that really the ones with any common sense must be living under a rock, because the majority of Americans, just look at the numbers, they're going up like crazy. They don't get it. Here's something, okay, little microcosm here. This pissed me off. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listen to ones about quilting especially, right? So I'm listening to an interview. It's an American podcast by a major quilting company. I think they're owned by Fons and Porter, which are big in the sewing world. And this podcast, they were interviewing a lady who's a guru in the quilting community, an American, who had last year bought some house, fixed it all up. It was sort of a century home, and has it opened for quilting retreats. And I've seen videos of it the whole bit. It looks really nice. Well, it's a business, okay? So, she has not closed down her business. What she is doing right now is she's allowing parties of people, like these are usually people that come from a guild or something like that. They can come for a 3-day retreat, but she does have social distancing in place. She does have less numbers than she could usually accommodate. They have to clean their bathrooms, regularly, and they have a common kitchen facility too in this house, and they have to there's disinfectant stuff provided, and they have to clean the kitchen as well. No. No. You're in a closed space. Oh yeah, and they had to have been quarantined, had to be self-quarantined 2 weeks before the retreat happened, and to come to it. How do you know that these people have been self-quarantining? Does that mean they didn't pop out to the grocery store? Or whatever? How do you prove that? How do you know that? And this is just the mentality here that I think a lot of these states that have the worst cases going now, that's their mentality too. No, it won't get me. Yeah, it will. Yeah. Jody says, do you remember the name of the retreat house? I host scrapbook retreats 2 times a year, which I cancel because of risk. Yeah, I forget what it's called, but the name of the woman who owns it, her name is Bonnie Hunter. So you can look it up. And I think she's in, I want to say she's in Virginia, but I'm not really sure about that. But her name is Bonnie Hunter. She's a guru in the quilting community. So I don't know. Now this is what, when they were interviewing her, this is what she said she was putting in place. And if groups who that had already, before COVID had booked, they book in a year in advance. She did say that she offered them full refund, or if they wanted to keep the same date before a year down the road, she was letting that happen too. But in my way of thinking, yeah, I know it's your business. Close it down. You're playing with fire, aren't you? It just seems like a no-brainer to think that right now, after everything we know about everything. Apparently not. Apparently not. Oh, Bonbon's here. Hello. I came to listen to one of your 5 live videos, but wow, thanks a lot, Steve. Well, just kidding, but now I'm sad American after listening in. Are you right on stupid people? But they're everywhere. Yes, they are. Toronto's full of them. Okay. Bonnie says it's called Quiltville. That's what Bonnie Hunter's thing is, yeah. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm dumping on some of you that are Americans and the whole bit. But to be honest, it's really easy to dump on you because everything we hear, okay, and yes, it's coming through the media, and we know there's bias and everything else on there, but it's just making Americans look completely stupid. I mean, it's bad enough you have Trump, so that's stupid right there. And then the stupid things that come out of his mouth, and the stupid things that come out of the vice president's mouth, and the stupid things that come out of your Congress. It's just stupid after stupid after stupid, isn't it? Just like Forrest Gump. Stupid is as stupid does. So, I mean, how can you not start to just figure that every American has got less intelligence than anybody else on the face of the planet? Really. And since they're the epicenter of the world for this disease, yeah. Sorry, but that's the view we have. I happen to be one of the smart Americans. I know I'm in a minority. Yeah, and I mean,
I don't know. I think there's probably lots of Americans just like you.
Yeah.
But the problem is you've got a large majority of people that aren't following the rules, and you don't have any. There isn't any political leadership that is really supporting trying to make this thing go away type of thing.
Well, we also heard though too that it costs what? It can cost up to as much as $800 for someone without insurance to get a COVID test in the States.
Yeah, like I don't know exactly what. Like I mean, we're used to our system, and so if I decide tomorrow I need a COVID test for whatever reason, I can go and get one, and I'm not out of pocket by any money. So I don't know if what we hear on this end of the world, whether you guys have to pay anything for a COVID test, or whether you're out of pocket at all with a COVID test, or you require insurance, or how that all works.
We don't know how that works because that's foreign to us.
But I read somewhere that some people can be out of pocket $20 and other people can be out of pocket $800. But I don't know if that's true. So,
And I mean, I guess it all boils down to the fact that there's been no good, strong leadership. I mean, you said the other day you read that, which state was it where the uh, mayor or somebody said,
no, it's Georgia. Was it the governor of Georgia doesn't want a mask policy, whereas the mayor of Atlanta wants a mask policy, but the governor is Republican and the mayor is Democrat, and the governor is suing the mayor for not following his direction. So I can't understand any political system
how that works. I mean, I have never heard in our country of a mayor of a city or town suing
Or
the
no,
provincial premier or
Yeah.
the provincial premiers suing.
yeah, I know. Like, I mean, in our areas, like the premier doesn't have to make if city of mayor decides to make a law for that city, the premier can't really do anything about it.
Now, actually, having said that, one of the things that is happening here is this whole, like the Blue Jays. It's the baseball team in Toronto, right? They've been practicing at the Rogers Center, which is
There supposedly isn't a charge in Texas, but anyway.
it's their hangout kind of a thing. But they want to get baseball going again with restrictions, of course, and supposedly safe batting. I don't know with it all. But they'd have to bring up teams from the states to have home games. And then they said, well, they would be quarantined and all this stuff and wouldn't be allowed to leave their hotels except to go for practice and all this kind of stuff. Our federal government has turned around and said, no, not going to happen. The risk is too high. You have people coming in from outside. No matter what you do, there's still a high risk. So provincial premier Doug Ford, who's head of our province, and the mayor of Toronto, John Tory, and Toronto is where the Blue Jays are headquartered, they're saying, oh, well, they thought they could probably do it, but the federal government says you can't. Well, what they're doing is they're passing the buck. All three levels should be on the same playing field. Ooh, there's a little baseball pun in there. Should be on the same page when this all comes up. But, you know, it's probably unpopular with the sports fans because they want their baseball. Well, give it up. So they'll blame it all on the federal government. But the federal government's sticking to its guns. And that's leadership at the federal level, which is something, sadly, the American people have not seen since, what's his face got into power? Trump, right? So, you know, that's where the whole problem stems, really, is no leadership in a time when you need to have leadership. Janine said something interesting here. As an American, I'm very distressed about the proud, willful ignorance that could cost me my life. Remember, you can't fix stupid. Exactly. And hopefully Americans will vote stupid out in the November election. But time will tell. So anyways, I'm sorry that, you know, that I'm going on about the Americans and the whole bit, but it's really easy to do so because you just see stuff that every day you go, what? No, that can't be right. You know, it's just astounding. It's like every day Trump opens his mouth and you go, what? Just when you thought stupid was as stupid could get, it gets stupider. Yeah. And this American people are suffering. And if the American people suffer, we suffer too. We're all affected by what everybody else is doing. So as much as we'd like to say that, you know, we're over here, Americans are over here, we're still influenced. There's still ripples. And not just with us, for the rest of the world too.
Mm-hmm. Whatever happens in your country ends up affecting all kinds of stuff all over the world.
Well, majorly economics.
Yeah.
You know, because of the tie there. So, will we ever get to nicer times again? Will we ever be able to go out.
Well, so you know, the other problem is that this feels like it's gone on for years and years and years.
And it
whereas
hasn't
it
really.
has only gone
5 months.
on since basically the end of January. So,
Well, yeah, but didn't really
well, it
start.
started earlier than that, but really it didn't really come to the forefront till around the end of January, or even into February.
Well, it really didn't start to affect us majorly until about the middle of March.
Yeah,
When, I mean, we all had the worries, but that was in other places in the world.
yeah,
Here in our own world, in our country, it wasn't until March. So it's only been just, well, it'll be about 5 months. It was 5 months. If you go by March 15th, it was 5 months. Wednesday.
yeah. Lunch
So-
is ready. Where are you?
What?
Janet Lloyd. Lunch is ready.
Oh, okay. Must be out on the West Coast. But, anyways, so yeah. Again, as I always say, stay home. Canada will still be here in another couple of years. You can come up and look at the wildlife then. Okay? Maybe we can ship some of it to you. We had a little chipmunk under our deck the other day. He was cute. He's Walter's arch nemesis, the chipmunks. They go, haha, you've taken some of my relatives and took them for a ride. You're not going to get me. He thinks. Okay. So, yeah. I think that's it for today.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
we're a little
so.
early, but
Yeah, well, only 10 minutes. Whatever. But we keep going on. We'll just.
yeah, well,
Keep insulting
it's
Americans.
too much COVID talk, actually.
But,
I
you know,
mean,
how do you
it's
avoid it?
You can't avoid it.
How do you
so
avoid it? You know, like, what?
It's the major. It's the major thing in the news these days. So.
You know, I've looked for other topics that might be of interest, but you know, it's there. We live with this every day now. You just can't turn it off. So, anyways, having said that, we'll see you guys next week. My vlog is up tomorrow.
Try and think of a new topic.
Yeah, I'm open to suggestions. Send them to me by email, please. Whatever. Put comments in below. What do you want to talk about that doesn't have to do with COVID? That would be
Stupid
fun.
Europeans.
Stupid Europeans. I don't know. Really, right now it's hard to say that the Europeans have been that stupid. But there we are, back on COVID again.
Of course, there's the Brazilians. They're stupid.
Oh, well, they're Brazilians. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, everybody have a good night. We'll
Yeah.
talk to you all next week.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
Have a good week.
Stay in, stay healthy, stay safe.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.